Welcome to Black Republican, Black Democrat. I'm your co-host, Jamar Nelson.
I'm your other co-host, A.K. Kamar.
Well, thank God you didn't say host today. Hog me damn.
Hey, man, I just wanted to catch you slipping, dog.
I don't never slip, dude. I don't ever slip. I used to be in a gang. You can't get caught slipping.
You can't slip if you're in a gang?
No, if you get caught slipping, you slip, then you're slipping. That's Dr. Dre said, damn it.
Gotcha.
No. Well, welcome, though.
Yeah, man. Welcome, bro.
It's been been crazy.
It has been
crazy. But before we do any of that, we've got to thank some sponsors around here.
Yeah, man. I mean, we always want to make sure that to help, throw out the people that are helping support our show. We actually brought on a new sponsor, man. Brand new.
Brand new.
The show, we want to focus on issues in the Black community, right? So it's important for us. And this specific sponsor that I approached is a young brother. He's actually a year older than me. But he's had a shop opened up, and it's called Just Imagine. So if you're in St. Paul and you're looking for the newest, freshest urban streetwear clothing for both men and women, why don't you stop over at his shop, 991 Payne Avenue. He's got Frost Originals. He's got Maccoby. He's got George V. Paris, NBA Youngboy, $1 Billion Baby Clothing. Just make sure to stop by there. And if you go online and you find Just Imagine, if you subscribe on the website, which it's justimagine651.com, there's a referral code. And if you put in BRBD, you'll be able to get 10% off your order. But again, this is a new sponsor, a great dude. He's got great fly clothing. I'm not necessarily in that realm. I don't wear the urban streetwear clothing, but if you do,
you are not.
Make sure to stop by 991 Payne Avenue in St. Paul. Just imagine.
And honestly, just imagine if our supporters go out and support our sponsors. It's important. These are emerging small businesses, like we are, and that's the heart and soul of what makes America go round is small businesses, especially those that are owned and operated by Black and minorities.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And then after that.
What?
If you're feeling a little hungry?
Oh, well, you should eat sometime.
You gotta eat sometime. And
you ain't missing no meals.
Well, I'm on keto diet, but if I need to get me some of that good egg rolls, where would I go?
You would go to the Egg Roll Queen.
Egg Roll Queen?
The Egg Roll Queen.
So what's so good about Egg Roll Queen?
Well, they do specialty egg rolls, and even perhaps your keto.
My keto?
Somebody.
I don't know if they do keto. Yeah. I mean, that'd be amazing if they did, but the egg rolls are gigantic.
They are really big. And this dude's got pretty big hands. And they fill his whole hands. He can't hold it with just one. He has to eat it with both of them.
They got normal egg rolls, what you would call more traditional, but you can do specialty egg rolls.
That's right. Dessert egg rolls and everything. The Egg Roll Queen.
And then after that, you're thirsty. You got to run down to the corner store. Which corner store are you going to run to?
You're going to run to the Weber Mart.
The what?
The Weber Mart.
The Weber Mart.
You might need some cigs, some loosies.
Some loosies, some diapers, some purple drink. You head down to the Weber Mart. Yeah, man. So after, you're done watching the show and you're like, how can I support Black Republican, Black Democrat?
Because you really should be supporting us.
You should be. If you like what we do and you think that we produce a quality product, you think it's entertaining, please head over to patreon.com/BRBD and make a contribution.
What is it?
Patreon.com/BRBD.
I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, write that down. And what we want to be able to do is, as we get people that are contributing, we want to be able to make content specific to the folks that help contribute to us. And it's going to be huge. So we would appreciate heading over to Patreon, becoming a donor, subscribing to our content, and then sharing this information with everybody else.
Now, wait. That's Patreon. Patreon.com/BRBD.
/BRBD.
So, wait a minute. So, then tell me it again. Say it again. I got to write it right then.
Patreon.com/BRBD.
Okay.
One last thing too is as you guys watch this, we appreciate so much commenting, getting interactive. Make sure that you guys smash that share button so other folks can join in on the conversation. Please. At the end of every episode, we always do address questions, comments that you have, and so we would appreciate you being interactive and being able to have a real dialogue with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, we try to bring you great content, and if you are part of our Patreons, you can get some special content.
Yeah, we're gonna do
BRBD.
specific content for our subscribers.
You know what, bro? I'm smiling tonight because I'm with you, and that's what we do when we usually together. We make each other laugh. But I've got an extremely heavy heart, though, man. We're at 68 murders in the city of Minneapolis.
Yeah.
68 as of about 2 hours ago. We were about 68 murders. Last night, I was at the scene of the 67th homicide in the city.
Wow.
Nice young man that my nieces and nephews knew. Had a clothing line and was obviously well loved by a lot of people. And he lost his life due to senseless violence. We're at a real fast pace, AK, to surpass Murder-apolis, what was dubbed Murder-apolis back in 1995, when at about September 13th, there was about 74 murders. It's September 15th, and we're at 68 murders. Do you think we'll surpass Murder-apolis?
I mean, I hope we don't, but at this pace, there's nothing to say that we're not going to, man. And, there's so many different people's lives, that are being impacted, like, just these people that have been in the community for a long time that have been trying to stand up and try and convince folks, to try and change their way of living and change their way, have that respect for life. Because that's the truth is, when you take a life, it's because you don't have that respect. It might even be of your own life, but it's just hard to read these stories where there's folks that are, been active trying to get out there with violence prevention, and their own personal lives are being impacted. And it's been happening, like all these stories that are tied and connected to each other, just even, yourself, you have personal connections with a lot of different folks here.
I found this little clip that I want to show, because when I seen it, it kind of tugged on my heart, and it brings a little reality to what we're saying of the rapid rise in specifically gun crime. So you might have seen it already, but here's a little synopsis of how we're almost at the doorstep of surpassing Murder-apolis.
Another tragedy. Another person dead.
1995 was a grim year in Minneapolis. A violent summer led to so many killings that the Hennepin County Medical Examiner ran out of body bags and had to ask for more money. That year eventually set a record for the most homicides the city has ever seen and spawned the infamous nickname Murder-apolis. But when you directly compare, this year isn't that far off. There were 74 homicides by September 13th, 1995. So far this year, there have been 66. Put recent homicide numbers on a graph, and you can see how out of place this year and last year look. Homicides are up 12% from last year, and it's more than double any of the 12 years before that. A recent in-depth Star Tribune report found 90% of gunfire reports come from just 5 neighborhoods in North Minneapolis and south of downtown.
We just have to keep prayers and get these guns away from these babies. They think they playing these games, thinking they can come back to life. It's not happening. It's not so.
12-year-old London Michael Bean was shot to death last week, joining Anaya Allen and Trinity Otterson Smith as the faces of innocents lost to gun violence in the city this year. None of those children's murders have been solved, and many city residents are asking, what will it take to turn this trend around?
Turn these shooters in, please. Please turn these shooters in.
Bro, it's getting bad, man, and I know a lot of these families, with a lot of the outside work that I do, we've sat with these families, and this is serious, man. I mean, again, the graph that was just showing, the piece that was showing had 66 murders. We're at 68 murders as of, again, about 2 hours ago was the last homicide that was done in, again, South Minneapolis, I'm sorry. And now you're still thinking about trying to abolish the police. Look, I understand. I got this gash on the side of my head where I've been abused by the Minneapolis police. But let's keep it real. Who wants a city full of vigilantes, right?
Right.
If you don't think that crimes are being solved, it's because you're shrinking the police department.
Right.
Dude, in this city, I don't know, what do we got? 800,000? I don't know how many people. You've got 12 homicides investigators right now. So you tell me we're putting the onus on those 12 officers, investigators, to solve 68 murders. No. It is time to become proactive in ending this gun violence. All hands have to be on deck. We have to be serious about this. You've got to put politics aside. You've got to put color aside. This hits home. It's ruining our neighborhoods. 4 kids are dead in a 6-month span. And we're talking about taking away the police. Let's try some strong reform. I am not anti-police anymore. Mm-hmm. I used to be.
Yeah.
But I realize that if we put good officers on the street that reflect the neighborhoods in which they patrol, if we put serious support behind a chief that wants to reform his department, it can happen.
Yeah. We talked about this before, and we've had different folks that have came on and kind of thrown some ideas. But at this point, it's like, let's just see everything, right? Like, put it all out on the table, bring the people together, but just put aside the politics. And I know that's cliche. It's cliche to say, to like, put aside the politics, but I think that the reality is that at the base of every person that's heavily involved in politics, we have our ideology, but then we have like our real life, our actual experience of what we're experiencing in, as we go out and walk around and experience the world. And that is what brings people together, right? That common shared humanity. So when people say put your politics aside, it just means get together with your shared humanity and stop worrying about if this is going to push your progressive agenda or if this is going to push your, whatever, your police agenda. At the end of the day, you have to be able to come together to figure out what can we do and just throw the kitchen sink at it. I know that in St. Paul, Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher, there was the story of the I think it was 5 kids under 16, and they were playing some game. They had a stolen car, and 2 of the kids died in the car crash. The police were, I guess, really far behind. They weren't even like actively chasing them. They were following them. And this happened, and he's kind of introduced that he wants to do some real reforms, because another part of this story, when we're talking about these homicides and we're talking about all of these tensions, it's a lot of young kids.
Oh.
Right? That are part of doing these different aspects. And it's like, well, what can we do with the kids, to try and figure out how do we stop this violence from occurring? What type of programs are there?
Programs that work, though, bro.
Yeah.
We've been throwing
I get it.
good money after bad behind programs that are not reforming these kids because we're not proactively worrying about the city and the city council, and they tend to think that Old Man Winter is a crime deterrent. It doesn't slow down crime. It doesn't slow down gun violence. Carjacking. I think up until about 4 years ago, they weren't even they weren't even keeping carjacking stats.
Right.
It has grown astronomically. It's at about 2,000%. It's grown, bro.
Wow.
There was a carjacking just last night by a gunpoint. This is serious. It's affecting you. If you think that it isn't going to get close to home, think about it. I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
But crime, gun violence is rearing its ugly head, and it doesn't matter your color. It doesn't matter your party. It is growing incredibly dangerous to walk some streets, to patronize some restaurants, to drive down the street in nice cars without being carjacked. Enough is enough. We've all got to get together and do something about it, damn it.
Amen, brother. Amen. Kind of switching gears here a little bit. I kind of announced this last week. There is a story that I've been following for a while that I have a personal connection to. And I would say for the past 5 years, I've been interested in narratives, right? And anybody that follows me on Facebook knows that I talk about this idea of narratives. And it's whenever I see that there's a story that, media apparatus, whether that's print media or news media, they'll kind of just start sharing this narrative, and I'll turn on this station and read this article and read this article, and it's almost like there's a specific push to a specific end. So I've been interested in that, and for me, it doesn't even necessarily cut just conservative or liberal. Sometimes it's just, corporate messaging. And so the guest that we have today is someone that knows a little bit about, from the inside, from that aspect, Ivory Hecker. Glad to have you on the show. So thankful that you wanted to be able to join us. But I would, just myself personally, I've just been so fascinated with your story, where, I knew when you were in the Twin Cities, because you're in the Twin Cities and you were working for an affiliate here. And then you moved out to Houston, and you joined another news crew down there, a different network. And, I've been a fan of yours, kind of watching as you're doing stuff, because I know kind of where your heart is on things. And, kind of everything kind of fell forward in the last 2 months. So why don't you kind of tell us about your journey and how things have kind of unfolded?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on. It's great to see you again. We go way back. But
college
days. When the national narrative became the local narrative with the pandemic, it became a pretty powerful narrative. And narrative news telling, this meta narrative that forms, comes with a lot of peer pressure, and the news people feel the pressure to stick with each other's narrative. If they cover news that doesn't fit everyone else's narrative, they get gossiped about, and they get made to feel like they're in trouble. And so I think that's what happened in my case last year. Last year is when I was shocked at the corruption of my company. I worked for Fox 26 Houston. It would have been just about 4 years. This would have been my 4-year anniversary this month had I stayed with the company, but I left them abruptly in June. So last year, I was covering COVID. Obviously, everyone was. And my bosses sent me to a hospital to cover the Army medical team. The Department of Defense had sent some doctors down there to help fight COVID. And when I interviewed the doctor, chief of staff at that hospital, and he said that he was using the H word. Can I say it here?
Yeah, you
certainly can.
Hydroxychloroquine. He said he was using hydroxychloroquine and he was having success. Well, all hell broke loose. I got gossiped about. The gossip sites made it seem that I was pushing this drug through my own bias, and I had found a doctor to push my agenda and all this gossip that wasn't true. My bosses had sent me there. I had no clue what the doctor's protocol was when I went there. Anyway, so Fox seemed to succumb to the peer pressure and say, Ivory, we're going to discipline you very harshly because you're all over the gossip sites. And I was like, really? You're going to succumb to some petty gossip that our viewers don't even read? When it's the truth. All this doctor said is the truth, that he's prescribing this drug. And by the way, when I followed up and did research, the death rate at his hospital was dramatically lower than the death rate at other hospitals. The national death rate, if you get sick enough with COVID that you go to the hospital, throughout 2020, hospitalized COVID death rate was 20%. So you have a 20% chance of dying once you're hospitalized with COVID. At his hospital, up until that point, it was, I believe it was 4.4%. 4% death rate compared to 20%, that's dramatically lower. But he was using a list of drugs, and I put it all out there, everything he was using. Not just drugs, but his whole protocol.
Yeah.
Including IV drip vitamins and everything. And that wasn't okay with the narrative, because there was a narrative that said we are no longer talking about the H word. it's the word that shall not be spoken now, because it's August 2020 and we're done with that narrative. And look, I wasn't paying attention to national narratives. I was just following what was actually happening. So I followed what they were, put out, what they said they were doing on the ground, got viciously attacked for it. My bosses wrote up a false defamatory memo about me. It was a letter of warning that threatened to fire me. They put it permanently in my file. So to amongst the Fox executives to defame me. Now, I was being courted by the higher ups at the time. I worked for Fox Corp, led by Lachlan Murdoch. Fox News is a part of that. Fox News, Fox Nation, all the major Fox local stations. I was in the Fox Corp family, and Fox News had me to visit. So I was like, okay, I may be moving up in this company. And now here they throw this dagger in my file unjustly because I allowed a doctor to say something that he uses that was against the narrative. So I was very alarmed by that. But at the same time, we were seeing unprecedented censorship in America. And I spoke out publicly about that and said, look, journalism can't exist in a free society journalism can't exist in a censored society because journalism is pursuit of truth, no matter what, the free ability to find truth anywhere and report it no matter what it is. And if there's censorship in there, it's no longer journalism. And so we must stand up against censorship as journalists. Well, that led to a barrage of backfire of people coming after me as well. And my boss said, Ivory, you cannot say anything against censorship. And I said, look, that's the bread and butter of our business. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So we had this huge disagreement. They try to kind of punish me and pressure me on that topic as well. But if there is anything a journalist should be biased towards, it's free speech.
Right.
So that's where it began. Those were the two major things where I said, I have got to get out of this company. Yeah. And then more meta narratives formed throughout the rest of the year that we could talk about too.
Well, a couple of things quickly. I don't blame you for leaving Fox. I mean, who wouldn't?
Says the Democrat.
And censorship at Fox? No. Are you kidding? No way. Not at Fox. No. But here's the other thing. We'll get to my cynicism about that. But playing devil's advocate, I guess, or just keeping it real, that was a drug that was being pushed that a lot of people were dying from, that some orange-faced idiot was pushing and had no real knowledge of the drug and its side effects and things of that nature. So, and then you had some quack doctors pushing the damn thing too. So, do you understand why your bosses and other folks didn't want to hear about a drug that had been killing people, along with being told to use bleach and other disinfectants to kill COVID?
No, this is what the doctor was using. And by the way, that study we're talking about, people dying, people were not getting hurt or dying from hydroxychloroquine. It's been used safely for decades to fight malaria in Africa. One of my very best friends grew up taking it to fight malaria in Africa. Now, the study that was published last summer was actually fake, and it was retracted after it was blasted out throughout the media. So that was basically a propaganda study that smeared hydroxychloroquine as something dangerous when it wasn't. It had been a safe drug for years. And my company published the update saying, look, this was a bad study, our bad, it's been retracted. So what I learned as boots on the ground journalist was that many doctors were secretly prescribing. It had become so controversial that they wouldn't tell anyone they were prescribing it.
But again, Ivory, if you had a guy pushing it along with other telling you to use other disinfectants.
He wasn't pushing it.
Donald Trump was absolutely pushing it along with using disinfectants.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
not the doctor, not your doctor, because I'm sure your doctor knew what he was talking about. But I'm saying when you had Donald Trump pushing that along with other disinfectants to be used to cure COVID or to cure COVID. I mean, you can understand the apprehension of folks wanting to hear. And then you had that black woman doctor who claimed she used it and it cured something else that she had. It was curing everything. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
Frontline
actually talked to her recently. She's still prescribing it. She's
nuts. She's nuts. She's a voodoo doctor. Where's she from? New Orleans? I mean, give me a break. She's not serious.
She lives in Houston, but she's originally from Africa, where, like I said, it's been prescribed for decades, and she has more patients than ever now.
Well, yeah, and we'll see how long they all live.
Success.
We'll see how long they live.
In the mainstream mainstream hospitals, people are not getting their treatment. And so many people are being turned away and say, come back if you get super sick. Oh, you're super sick now? Okay, straight to the ER, and we're going to slap a ventilator on you, which, by the way, I think the survival rate from ventilators in New York was 12%.
Oh, it's bad. You don't want to be on the ventilator. That's no.
Yeah, there's studies that show that ventilators lead to infection. You actually die from an infection from the ventilator, not from COVID.
Absolutely. Yes.
But the issue with Fox was that I did nothing wrong. I was sent to a hospital to ask what they were doing there. The doctor said what he was doing, and then I was punished for what the doctor said. That was very wrong. Not only punished, but they made up lies about me. They pretended that they had banned me from covering COVID treatment 2 weeks prior to that. They had never banned me from covering COVID treatment. Why would they send me to a COVID hospital if they created that ban? So they made up lies about me to taunt me into fitting this unspoken narrative that I was supposed to understand and go with.
Well, do you think that, I mean, it's Fox, but do you think that it had a lot to do with sexism? I mean, women journalists, be it they're black or white, they tend to not be treated or even be paid as well as their male counterparts. So do you think that a lot of it had to do with sexism?
Well, the industry.
I mean, a lot of those Fox women, you know, and have been suing Rupert and other fools that all handsy. So, I mean, again, seriously, do you think that that sexism had anything to a part in it?
TV news has really changed where women dominate now. Most newsrooms are predominantly female. There's a multitude of female bosses. Both my news director and assistant news director are female in Fox. At Fox, they were. I should say my prior bosses. I don't work for them anymore. Yeah. When I was at KARE 11 in Minneapolis, both of those bosses were female as well. I primarily had female bosses. Most of the reporters and on-air talent are female, and women dominate the industry.
Are you saying no?
That's another false narrative that's going around, is that women are victims. Wait,
Ivory. No. I can't let you say there's a false narrative, because I know black women journalists that have suffered from sexual harassment and harassment. So you can't say that that's a false narrative, because women are treated differently to get different jobs.
Okay, sexual harassment sometimes happens. It has never happened to me in my 9-year career.
That's good. That's great. Seriously.
I can't talk.
Great.
From first-hand experience, I can't talk about that. I can tell you that racial minorities in TV have a giant advantage compared to white people. That is
they do?
When I was at KARE 11, I met with my agent. I was with one of the top agents in the country. I flew out to LA, got lunch with him in Hollywood, and I said, "What's going on? I need a TV job." And he opens up this giant binder of all the job openings in America, and everything that the bosses are looking for there, and race was mentioned.
They want quotas. I mean, Ivory, come on.
Every job opening was listing
Ivory, don't play brand new.
That the bosses were asking for, black and Hispanic.
Yeah, but come on, Ivory, don't play. I know you might be I know you might be wooing for a new job or something. I don't know.
She's independent, man.
But okay, but come on now. Let's not play brand new. You know damn well that these stations want quotas. They have to put some black and brown faces on TV now. Otherwise, you're going to get they're going to get bombarded with them not having equal opportunities for that. I mean, let's just keep it real. I know. I don't. One of my close friends works for a network here. Okay, male. And excuse me too, he too was treated differently. He wasn't when he came in given a great job and a great salary. No, he had to work his way up to the top, and it took a little longer than it took his white counterparts who, I'll say too much, then you know where they were.
So one of the things that I wanted to kind of throw out, our dynamic on the show, I want to be able to let Jamar have the things that are important to him. I want to be able to have the things that are important to me. I think it's pointless to be in a fighting match, shouting match all the time. But I think that, I see exactly what you're talking about in regards to narratives, right? So when you talk about the narrative, it's that you push certain aspects of a story. It doesn't mean that it's 100% false. It's that you are going to cherry pick information to push a specific set of beliefs because you have a specific stated goal, right? And so if I'm sitting there, I'm like, what can I do to help this industry? And I get together with some of the other people and I say, here's what we need to do. We need to really showcase this thing, and then that starts to take off. So the question I had for you is that, when you were doing, I don't know what the technical term is, but when you guys huddled before you go out for your assignments for the day or whatever, right? Was there ever anything where it's like, here's the things that we want to touch on, here's the things we want to stay away from? I know that every network's probably going to be different, every station's going to be different. Some might give you a lot of brevity, some might say like, here's the things that we need you to specifically cover. But I'm just curious, like from your experience, are those conversations that happen of like, we need to get this type of story out?
Yeah, that definitely happened with vaccines, actually. And it's called the morning editorial meeting, by the way. So
that's what we need to start having.
The morning editorial
evening editorial meeting.
Yeah, so we would meet each morning on Zoom during the pandemic. And, once vaccines rolled out, it was all about, we need to get the message out of convincing people to get the shot, which, by the way, is propaganda. People don't realize that's propaganda. You need to keep your loyalty to the viewers and their concerns first.
Right.
Not to a vaccine first.
Right.
And a lot of viewers had concerns whether this was the best thing for them. They had a lot of hesitancy about it. And what the bosses did is aggressively ignore those concerns and questions. And so it actually created more of a lack of trust. And what you're seeing with the great vaccine hesitancy right now, that has formed, I think, because of news outlets across the board, great resistance to answering basic questions that viewers have about the shot.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm curious about when you talk about the viewers, like let's talk about fundamental journalism. Like when you think about a journalist, the idea is that they want to go out there and they want to find, they want to try and answer questions. And what you're saying is that the questions are coming from the people, right? Like the viewers, the people. So someone might call in and say, hey, I'm really concerned about this. And you get a couple of different people calling and you're like, that is interesting. I want to dig deeper. So, just to be clear, a journalist that's worth their weight in salt isn't necessarily looking for a specific end or a means to their story, right? You're just like, hey, I heard that there's something going on. I'm going to go take a look and see what it is. And whether or not it ends up being that thing was true or that thing was false, a journalist is just trying to find answers. Is that right? Would you say that's accurate? But are you being impeded by kind of, the
Well, she worked for Fox. Of course she was.
Overlords to not find the truth.
She worked at Fox. Of course she was.
Sadly, it's that way with all big news corporations.
Not us Democrats.
Not just Fox.
MSNBC, and it's just a beacon of truth.
When it came to vaccines, it was all about convincing. Now, propaganda's definition is selecting facts or selecting only certain facts or making up facts to convince for the purpose of persuasion.
Right.
Propaganda is for the purpose of persuasion, and that is what the vaccine narrative was. It was all about persuading people, whether they thought it was best for them or not, convincing them no matter what to take this shot. So we are going to hide every adverse reaction. We're going to hide every death. Oh, there's a viral video on social media right now of people fainting and having seizures in their cars after the shot. Hide it, hide it, hide it. Act like it didn't happen. Oh, the CDC announced it's going to delete some of its transparency. You're no longer going to hear about all breakthrough cases. Hide it. Don't talk about it if it gets brought up. Yes, CDC is always right. So this weird narrative of like the CDC is God and we shall not question them and we're not going to talk about, and even when the CDC does list its number of deaths after vaccination, we're going to ignore those, not even mention those. And it's like, gosh, if we just mention that, yeah, by the way, CDC says right now 7,000 people have died after the shot. If we just put that out there, look, make up your own mind. This is how many people got the shot. This is how many people died. You make up your mind. If we did that, people would feel more comfortable. But
Absolutely.
the resistance from the meta narrative across the nation and the world right now to say, we shall not talk about these things. And if you do talk about, you're shut down. That's creepy. It's what's happening to Nicki Minaj right now, by the way. She just got banned from tweeting.
That's right.
It just banned her.
Well, it really only happens on
reason.
it really only happens on Fox. But now, honestly, I think that let's remember 90% of those cases that have died of the vaccinated they had underlying conditions as well too. So let me ask you specifically though, your boss or I don't know who else, have you ever been told about a specific story to only say these specific things, only have these specific facts, only have this specific narrative, and anything else will get your butt in trouble? Have you ever? Well, I mean, you work for Fox. I kind of know the answer, but for our fans that don't know, what? I'm just saying.
You just like the fact that when she left being a corporate journalist, that it was against Fox Corp.
I mean, I don't blame her.
But
I already have an affinity for Ivory because she lives in Texas, and
that's right.
Okay. So this is already my girl. But again, because you worked at Fox and they like to smother things, they like to suppress things. Like I don't know how and why, but they do. But were you specifically ever told to only go with this narrative about a specific story? Maybe be high profile. I'm just being silly, like, maybe O.J. Simpson or again, COVID. Were you only told to drive this narrative or else?
Yeah, when it came to COVID drug treatment, that I was not allowed to talk about treatment at all. After that incident last summer, they put me on a permanent ban from talking about the drugs, which, by the way, a lot of research was happening on what drugs to use, and suddenly I was banned from that. And by the way, when you look back,
I'm sorry, Ivory, but when you say ban, specifically explain ban from what?
Like, I couldn't speak publicly about COVID drug treatment.
So you couldn't,
either on TV or social media or anywhere.
So okay, meaning as in they no longer were sending you out with a crew anymore, or?
Oh no, that funny thing is they still had me on COVID related things.
Okay.
They had me covering development of the vaccine a lot.
Okay.
They had
That's
maybe
Fox.
if someone died of COVID or something, I could talk about that, but I couldn't mention COVID drug treatment. So that was very strange.
So what? Okay, let's say you did. I mean, let's say you did. Then what happened?
I would have either gotten written up or fired. I had to get a lawyer to get that fake letter retracted from my file. But if I violate it again and another gossip storm happens, then I would probably get fired, because my boss is told it wasn't just Houston. My boss was being forced by her bosses in New York to do things to me.
Wow.
So New York was very upset about this hydroxychloroquine narrative. They wanted to be done with it. They said, we're not talking about that. And then, Fox did a bunch of strange things last summer to try to redirect some of the narratives. I later talked to Ed Henry from Fox News Channel and found out that about the same time last summer that I was dealing with that with Fox News Channel, again, Lachlan Murdoch was his boss and my boss. Fox News Channel told him he couldn't ask certain questions. So I was banned from asking about COVID drug treatment. He was banned from asking his interview subject about kneeling during the anthem. They didn't want to talk about that controversy.
Wait a minute.
You about to be shook, dog?
Yes. Wait a minute.
You about to
Fox
be shook?
didn't want to talk. Fox didn't want to talk about kneeling.
the reason that Ed was given was that Fox was tired of towing the line for Trump. So they wanted to redirect it.
Hot damn, I like Fox now.
They were buying into the thing, right?
I like Fox now.
They wanted to get with the rest of the national narrative, which goes back to what I was saying at the beginning, is that when you are outside of everyone else's narrative, you get picked on. And Fox was taking a lot of heat. So they said, you know what? We are done towing this line for Trump. In fact, whatever he says, we'll try to do the opposite.
That's smart. They got smart. I mean, he was saying a lot of idiotic things. So what was the final straw for you when you, they were like, there was.
Oh, when they wrote that fake letter about me last summer, that was the final straw. I sat there in my room and cried, realizing I am done with this company and this industry. Well, I wasn't sure if I was done with the industry at the time, but as the months went on, I was like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be different anywhere else. So the final straw was last summer, but I was trapped in a contract that didn't even allow me to publicly say anything negative. I couldn't criticize my company publicly.
So I'm curious about that, because I've heard I watched Timcast all the time, and you guys both were talking about some golden handcuff thing.
Yeah.
Like what does that mean? Like, what's a golden handcuff?
That's when they treat you even nicer to keep you in your position with them.
Because what are they afraid of happening? That why do they, so they'd rather keep you and keep you silent and keep you happy.
Yeah,
but not happy. Is that kind of thing?
Look, I was a great reporter. I was always aggressive and ambitious.
You are
and
a great reporter.
What's that?
I said you are a great reporter.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, they needed me, so they would and look, they were successfully using me as a tool of distraction and narrative for a lot of it, and I was getting tired of that. I was like, there's critical stories out here, and you're putting me on another meaningless story. But anyway, they
You think that they did Mike Wallace like that?
No, I don't know. Mike Wallace, I don't know.
I'm sorry. He's dead. Chris.
Mike
Chris.
Wallace, dog.
That's the dad.
Mike was his dad.
That's the dad. Yeah. You think they did Chris Wallace like that?
I don't know. I didn't follow what happened. Honestly, when I realized I was done with Fox, I literally shut them down. I used to watch the national and local news regularly from Fox, and I shut them all off when I realized I was done. I stopped watching any of it.
Well, hopefully now you'll start voting Democrat too. Since you've left Fox, you might as well start
check
voting
this
Democrat.
out, Ivory. So
excuse me.
when I guess thinking about your story, about where you're going, there's been some things that have happened after you've left kind of the corporate news structure and you've went independent. And one specific thing, I think you were speaking at some event, and was it CPAC or something? And did they cut your live feed? Was that a rumor? Did that actually happen? Did like Fox News cut the part of your speech from their broadcast? Was that something that happened?
Yeah. So I was invited to speak at CPAC. So I'm speaking. I was invited as a part of the whistleblowers with Project Veritas.
Yeah.
And so, James O'Keefe introduced each of us, and we all did like a 1-minute speech. I do this 1-minute little speech. It was a great speech about the changing times, the censorship. And I get off the stage, and these multiple ladies are coming up to me furious, saying my feed was cut. They're like, my relative back home just called me and said that Fox Nation cut your feed when you went up. And I was like, what the heck? So I just, I was with my friend Jenny, and she just recorded what these ladies were saying. We slapped it up on social media, and then it got shared all over. Then there were all these headlines about my feed getting cut. And I think, so one of the outlets actually reached out to Fox and said, what is the deal? You cut Ivory's feed. And they said, look, that was the end of our regularly scheduled live streaming. I guess Project Veritas's group was the last group to speak, and they had already planned to cut the feed at a certain time.
Yeah, right.
All day.
It all perfect.
Ivory, you don't believe that. Don't, please. You worked for Fox.
I think it is interesting. Like, just a simple note, right? Like any person that's trying to be honest about finding the answers, they're willing to accept that sometimes coincidence happens, right? Like strange, weird things happen. But then you have to think about Occam's razor, right? Like usually the most likely scenario is the one that happened. And being that there's beef and all that stuff, that they found a convenient, like, so you'll never know, right? Until like if they came and said like, we cut your feed, but unless they do that, you'll never know. But yeah, so it's just little things like that that have been kind of curious or interesting.
Well, here's how we could help. You know, we need a journalist here. I prefer it to be female. We don't pay well like Fox, but we won't censor you.
We don't pay at all. So
well, okay, true. You know, you split some of the sponsorship with us, and we won't cut your feed, and we won't suppress any story that you want to do. So, and then you might as well vote Democrat. I mean, damn it, why not? Why not, Ivory? Come on over.
Come on over.
I mean, you know,
I never talk about how I vote.
Oh, so now you are a Republican. Oh my God! Of course you're Republican.
You know what?
Only Republicans say that crap.
No, that's not true. So what I
you don't say who you vote for.
No, check this out. So let's imagine a scenario, right? And Ivory, you don't have to answer one way or another, but let's say that Ivory is popular among people that are right of center. Okay, like that's just the truth. What if they found out that she did vote Democrat and then she loses all them, right? Or the opposite, right? Maybe she's found like this base of support that's in, you know, the moderate centrist, and they find out she voted Trump and then loses that. So I think it's actually smart for folks that are trying to keep themselves separate.
Ed Henry is not separate. We know Ed Henry is
I'm just saying,
raging idiotic Republican.
Sure. I personally like when someone just goes out there and they
I want to know where you vote.
Do their thing. And if you decide that you want to
if
you want to be political, then be political.
I want to know where you vote at, because I mean, listen, I want to know where he or she votes at. I want to know where her heart's at, because listen,
her heart. So your heart is tied to where you vote. Come on, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Because excuse me, can I?
I love my mother, and she voted for Joe Biden this
Smart
time.
Lady.
Last time she voted for Trump.
Well, you know, you probably bound and gagged her and took her to the damn voting poll.
She actually wanted to change her vote because my younger brother convinced her, because he was Orange Man bad. And I said, Mom, you made the wrong decision. And she's like, actually, I want to change my vote. But Minnesota, and there was like 3 weeks before, it was all stupid. But my point is, you can't assign your heart based off of your
Listen,
vote.
Ivy, here's what I'm saying, though. Seriously, I think that I want to know. I like to know what journalists. Well, I mean, when they're on a specific network, I mean, you can kind of tell where they lean, or unless it's Shepard's. What's the name? Shepard Smith. And you know,
well, what about him?
Well, we knew he. I mean, but you could tell the way Shepard spoke that he was a Democrat. There was no way he was high, because when he had Republicans on, he would check them. Okay, he wouldn't let you come on with BS on the show, or Democrats. What I'm saying, especially Republicans, he didn't let you come on, as you said, Ivory, with the propaganda. He didn't allow that. So I said, that guy's not gonna last at Fox for pretty long. And did he? Nope. Nope. He's somewhere floundering on MSNBC. But Ivory, what did I say? No, I honestly.
But you know, it was funny. Yeah. So Project Veritas invited me to all of these speaking events this summer, which I was happy to do. I was grateful to them for telling my story and getting it out there. Telling my story actually liberated me from Fox. That's the way that I got out of the contract. So I was really grateful to them, and I was like, sure, I'll go.
They didn't sue you?
But look, no, they didn't.
No, I'm not being funny. I mean,
you're talking about Fox.
Yeah, I'm saying Fox.
I thought you meant Project Veritas.
No, I mean Fox. So how did you? Okay, because now if you had an ironclad contract, how were you able to quit? And that's
going live, calling them out live on TV, and that going so viral, they were like, oh my gosh, we have no choice but to fire her and obliterate the contract.
So
my own contract.
Oh yeah, I never explained that. So yeah, like you were like a live shot, like when they check in right before it, and you're like, and blah blah, and you give like a little 10-second clip, and then back to you in the studio, and you just like boom, drop the bomb, right? That's basically what happened. Yeah,
exactly.
You should have brought that clip. I wanted to see that.
I know, I should have thought.
You should have brought that. So look, you know, you could always come back here. You know, we could use you here in the cities. You know, there's a lot of crap going on right here that you could be reporting on. You know, COVID.
I had a great 2 years in Minneapolis when I worked for Carol Evans. But yeah, I hear it's the Wild West out there now with so few.
You damn right. And wait a minute, you know, Carol 11 is a liberal station, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
They definitely had
So
a narrative.
you were
They
kind
definitely had
of running around there like a with your hair on fire. I'm guessing, right?
No, actually, they didn't try to control me like Fox did. They had
Now,
this
what did I say?
narrative bias.
Democrats don't do that.
Yes, they
Well,
do.
Minnesota's just too nice to control me.
Oh, that passive aggressive crap kills me. That's what it is. Give me a break. You know, we don't have much time with you here though. So what are you doing now? I mean, are you working for another network, or I mean, I know you're an independent journalist, but does that mean you can go do shots for CBS, MSNBC, blah blah blah? What's specifically meaning?
I could, but most of corporate media hates me now because
No, seriously.
I called out everyone. I called out everyone. They're all guilty of what Fox was doing, so they are scared to have me on. The independent media loves me. They've had me on a lot. I now founded my own website, ivoryhecker.com, which is a video forward website. I'm dropping video reports and interviews all the time.
You should do a podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna start podcasting on YouTube. They just they suspended me for 2 weeks because they didn't like some of my coverage, but.
You are getting expelled, suspended.
Because, like, this is the
you
best,
are bad
right?
to the bone.
Like the best part, right? Like I've known Ivory. Like we were both going to the University of Minnesota, Sky U Go Gophers at the same time for like a year or something. And the thing that's always been interesting to me is you stand by like I'll say you're very convicted in what it is you believe, right? Like you are strong in your beliefs, but you've never been the person to like force what you believe on other people. And even back in college, what I remember is that you always wanted to like hear and listen. Like that was just something that I always thought about you, like just from my interactions with you, is that you were always curious to hear kind of what people's story was. And so I've always appreciated that about you as I kind of followed you through your career. I hope that there's the fresh beginning. Anybody that's listening to this podcast, definitely go to ivoryhecker.com. Check out what Ivory's got going on. She's hilarious to follow on Instagram. She's got good information that's coming out.
And will you have us on? I mean, you should have us.
If you get a podcast,
I should totally have you guys on.
Let me tell you why. Because every damn show needs some color. I'm just telling you now. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
You got this beautiful dress on. You got to look. Let me say too. This is how I know that you're a journalist. Your background is pretty damn fierce. When I'm on Zoom, I try to look for a little area in the house like that. I mean, in the crib. I mean, you got this down packed. This is great. I mean, you look like you're ready for MSNBC.
Oh, it's my new little studio. I'm waiting on a picture that's going to go behind me right now.
I hope it isn't Trump. You gonna put Uncle Joe behind you? That's how you earn some brownie points.
Just a generic city. So not.
Well, you want to put Dallas. Don't put Houston behind you. Put Dallas.
Just put like a giant.
Put Dallas behind
Wisconsin,
you. This is between me and her. Excuse me.
Cheeseheads.
Yeah.
What did you say, Negro?
She's a Packer.
You're a Packers fan?
Yeah.
Oh, bless your heart, sweetheart. I mean, y'all can't muster up but 3 damn points with the rudest quarterback in the league. I mean, you're bad. You're
that
bad.
was the one good part about the Vikings losing.
Was that the
Packers lost.
I know, right? That's why. And so me and my homeboys, when the Cowboys lose, I'm like, well, did your team win? And so the way that you guys lost, I can't wait to get to the barbershop on Friday. Oh, I mean, yeah. And I'm glad the Packers lost because the guys that I call the Morning Saturday Show, there's a Packers fan. He's the biggest fan, Dave Sinekin. And then Trent Tucker is a Giants and a Vikings fan. So everybody's team lost.
Yeah,
including mine. So it's like no one could do it. No one has any bragging rights. And of course, is that why you got on that damn color tonight? Here I am complimenting your dress.
Packer gold or whatever.
Yeah, what the hell?
All of the Vikings have the same gold.
That's true. That's true. Hey, thank you so much, Ivory, for joining the show.
Thanks
appreciate
for having
you.
me.
We'd love to have you back another time.
Yeah, you guys have a great podcast going.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, and let me tell you something. If they are smart and you go back on Fox, please come back on and then give us all of the tea, as folks say. I mean, spill all the tea. I know we got 1 minute here with you. Let me tell you the truth. What's the lady's name? The big she left.
Megyn Kelly?
Yeah, I mean, not for real. What's she like though? Is she mean like Leona Hemsley?
Actually meet Megyn because I was in Houston and she was in New York.
That's true. Damn.
Yeah.
So come on. You got 2 minutes to tell us some gossip about someone that you don't want to name, that you got a story about. Come on, Ivory. Come on, Ivory.
Oh my God.
Tell us a juicy story really quick. Come on. Don't name any names, but we got to know. Someone famous.
I mean, the issue is with my boss at Fox. She still works there. Nothing happened to the actual corrupt people I called out. And that's really telling of the company.
Yeah.
Because my boss has dirt on her bosses. So they need to protect her. Now she has the big golden handcuffs. And they're still running the propaganda machine. Fox
I don't think we can say golden handcuffs. Well, it's after 9. Maybe.
No, not golden shower, dog.
Oh,
Golden
damn. It's
handcuffs.
golden something. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what you need to realize is they are still running the propaganda machine. The person who was for truth is the one that they fired, and they're doing a lot of work to try to repair their reputation at Fox. They've done it. They were the primary sponsors of a bunch of conservative events this summer to try to win back their base as ratings had plummeted, and they haven't changed. So you need to be aware of that.
Randy
It's no
Bravo.
matter any of the other corporations.
One of
The
our.
other corporations, it's worse. So just independent journalism is the wave of the future. What you guys are doing with an independent podcast, this is all where it's at. This is where the audiences are going.
I mean, I'm a smart guy. I know.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I'm smart.
So we're at the part of the show where we're just gonna kind of pull up some of the comments that folks have said, and just so this guy named Ricky Bravo, he's loving on you, saying you are awesome journalist, you're a combat journalist, and that you're awesome, you're a real journalist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, people are so supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. The people are sick of the fake news.
Well,
So
don't say that now. Damn, you kind of spoiled it when you say that. Damn, Ivory. You were doing so good. Don't use that
I
phrase.
was at Care 11 when the news outlets started to saying, okay, fake news is going around on Facebook. Beware of fake news on Facebook, guys. And Trump said, you know what? There is a lot of fake news out there. And he grabbed that fake news narrative and took it away from the news corporations. And then his name got placed with the word fake news. But it's true. Fake news is rampant. No matter who coined the term, which the corporate media originally coined the term, now they're guilty of doing it. So that's why people are turning to alternative voices to get away from the narrative. They see right through it.
Yeah.
Well, you got a home right here at Black Republican, Black Democrat anytime that you want. Again, we will not suppress you. We don't suppress anything around here. We swear occasionally, but because we have a lady present, I decided to watch my mouth. And so,
Chivalry.
well,
Let me get you next time we're on. I'll get you like a helmet, some chain mail. You can be Sir Jamar over here.
excuse me, don't hate me because I have manners. Yeah. Okay. Ivory, thank you so much. Seriously, please come back and keep your head up. You are a great journalist. He tells me a lot of great things about you, and the type of work that you're doing is what real journalism is about, and it's what people yearn for is journalism that doesn't have a narrative to it. It just tells the real story, and so thank God for people like you. And so keep your head up and keep up the great work.
Thanks,
so
Ivory.
much. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ivory.
Thanks, guys.
That was a good show, man.
It was great having Ivory on. I mean, are you surprised that Fox suppresses anything? Come on.
Am I? No, I'm actually not surprised because.
Oh, please.
I think here's where the narrative is true, right? When we everybody talks about fake news or whatever, I think it's important to understand that there's, I would say, more or less corporate interests of like, here's the thing that the corporations want to be able to push and control, and then there's non-corporate interests, and the non-corporate interests can go all types of ways. Non-corporate interests can go left, it can go right, it can go right down the middle. It's just the difference between corporate interests and non-corporate interests. And I'd say non-corporate interests are just the interests of the people, man. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem, is that whether it's NBC, Fox, whatever, it's the corporate interest, the corporate narrative versus what people want. And there's a direct, it's a direct fight. And that's why independent journalists and media are doing so well, because people are waking up and they're saying, man, like, this story doesn't necessarily make sense. And it's just the truth, bro.
Yeah, the truth is Fox suppresses, and thank God she got out. She was smart.
One day I'll convince you about the difference in corporate and everybody else, man.
Yeah, no time soon. Thank you for coming back.
Good show, bro.
Thank you, bro. I'm Jamar Nelson.
I'm AK Kamara.
Watch us next week.
Next week, same time, same place, 8 o'clock. Tell your friends, hide your kids, hide your wives.